I am happy to be here to talk about the HiFi Rose RS151 high-resolution audio and 4K video network streamer. When we first got the original RS150 here at Crutchfield, I saw and heard it in a living room style demonstration, and I was really impressed with the sound quality. But just as important with this piece was the touchscreen control and video streaming. Up to that point, we hadn't seen a lot of streamers with touchscreens. The HiFi Rose Android-based touchscreen interface really sets the bar for me. It behaves like a tablet or smartphone. That allows you to set it up on your home network without ever touching your phone, although the free RoseConnect Premium app is really great, and I'll talk about that a little later. So, when HiFi Rose offered us the chance to audition the RS151, I raised my hand. I paired it with an NAD C298 power amp using a balanced XLR connection, and the amp is driving my eARC Unify reference UBR62 stand mount 3-way speakers. This setup sounded substantial, inviting, and musically delicious. The noise floor is super low, which gives you a sort of strong, gleaming audio signal. This is thanks to thoughtful circuit design, and while the RS151 costs the same as its predecessor, it features some under-the-hood upgrades. That includes a new 8-core CPU that boosts data processing speeds by 4 times and delivers improved video quality over the previous version. And its built-in high-performance ESS SABRE DAC with 4th-generation HyperStream technology can render high-res music files at up to 32-bit 768 kHz resolution. Also key to this streamer's ability to reproduce fine musical detail is its digital clock, which drastically reduces the distorted edges inherent in digital music transmission by aligning the spaces between the data. The RS151's femto clock measures time down to the femtosecond, 1/400th of a second. And new in the RS151's digital stage is the Rose DPC module, the same found in HiFi Rose's flagship RD160 DAC. The module precisely synchronizes digital input signals with the clock. The RS151 screen is bigger than its predecessors, a little more than 15 inches wide by 3+ inches tall. The apps line up in a single row that you can swipe through and tap to select. I added it to our Wi-Fi network and entered my Cobus credentials without ever using my phone. I don't even think I needed my glasses. If I could keep the RS151, I'd run an Ethernet line for faster and more stable connection to my network, but Wi-Fi worked very well for me, despite my provider's underwhelming 40 megabytes per second download speed. I also connected a computer monitor via the HDMI video output and an SSD loaded with music files to one of the 2 USB Type-A inputs. Let's talk about this thing's preamplifier capabilities because it can handle a lot of digital sources. I can access the music files on my USB-connected drive through the Music app on the touchscreen or on my phone. Either way, I can see full-color album art and info. You could also connect a computer to the USB Type-B input, and there are Toslink optical, coaxial, and AES EBU digital inputs and outputs. One proprietary add-on that I think is a great deal is the RSA 780E, a CD drive and ripper that connects to the RS151 with a USB-B to USB-A cable. It's streamlined yet super solid, and it lets you use the streamer's interface to play and rip CDs, and it only costs $450. When you use it as a preamp connected directly to a power amplifier like I've done, you can use the RS151 to control volume, which you can do with the buttons on top of the unit, the included remote, or the app. And the sound is brilliant, clear, and distortion-free. The streamer's super low total harmonic distortion and high signal-to-noise ratio really let the audio stand out with clarity and substance. You could also set the streamer's output volume to fixed and connect it to a nice receiver or integrated amp, like HiFi Rose's all-analog RA280 or RA180. Then you'd be set to handle pretty much any analog or digital source you'd care to add. I really like the way HiFi Rose has preserved what for me is an important part of the relationship between listener and music, direct interaction with the player. I grew up when vinyl, tape, and radio were the only sources. To play music, you had to go to the system to start the turntable. And I always store my vinyl close by the stereo system, so choosing what to play has this physical aspect. And while I had the RS151 set up in my living room, I found myself walking over to it and interacting with it in that familiar way, and I would say that I vastly prefer that way. I'm not going to say that I never used the phone app, but for reasons I mentioned, as well as because the screen on the unit is bigger and easier to read and type on, I controlled it with the touchscreen about 80% of the time. So let's get into the touchscreen, the graphical user interface, or GUI, that, along with the great sound quality, sets this and other HiFi Rose streamers apart. It's an Android-based operating system that supports streaming services including Qobuz, Tidal, Apple Music, and Internet Radio. It also uses proprietary apps that come pre-installed or are available in the Rose Store, which you access through the app on the touchscreen or in the phone app's settings. The store's collection of apps is not overwhelming. There are only a dozen or so. The unit that I tested needed the Rose Radio app so that I could access my favorite station, 91.1 WTJU here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Getting it and any Rose app from the store is free and super easy. The touchscreen also shows videos via the Rose Tube app, which, as I've experienced it, is a vast, commercial-free library of YouTube music-focused video content. You can also play video from network-attached storage, or a drive attached to one of the USB inputs, or installed in its built-in SSD bay. And you can connect a TV, projector, or monitor via HDMI to play that content on a bigger screen, which is like the kind of entertainment that I spend time with daily, improved. It also lets you adjust audio settings, customize the display, manage storage, set up an outboard DAC, and more. I love the virtual back panel that lets you activate inputs and outputs, and the customizable virtual VU meters are great for when you want to cut down the visual noise from the screen and focus on the music. The phone app gives you the same control that you have with the touchscreen, and it mirrors the look, although in a vertical rather than horizontal orientation. I like that there's a remote icon in the upper right-hand corner of the app's screen that when you click on it switches to an easy-to-look-at remote screen for volume changes and other settings that are nice to have quickly at hand. So what other streamers should you be looking at in your due diligence if you're considering the RS151? If the app-based touchscreen graphical user interface isn't something you care about, the NAD M66 and Cambridge Audio Edge NQ are worth a look. Both the M66 and Edge NQ have full-color displays. The one on the M66 is actually a touchscreen, but you can't use it to browse and select music like you can on the HiFi Rose. Neither the M66 nor the Edge NQ have a built-in 4K video streamer with an HDMI output. Unlike the HiFi Rose, both of these top-notch streamer preamps have analog inputs, including balanced XLR. That means you can add sources like a turntable. You also can, and maybe should, connect directly to a power amplifier. Like the RS151, both also have HDMI ARC inputs for TV sound. All three of these streamers have meticulous and substantial build quality and will deliver clear sound with ultra-low distortion and noise. Choosing between them is a matter of what features you want. Also worth considering, if you already have a high-quality external DAC that you love, is the HiFi Rose RS130 streaming transport. On the surface, it looks a lot like the RS151, but it doesn't have a built-in DAC. It does have expanded digital input options, including ones for adding an external master clock generator for even cleaner, more precise, jitter-free digital audio signals. To sum it up, the RS151 is a luxury audiophile component streamer and digital preamp, and its price reflects that. It sounds really, really good, whether you're wirelessly streaming or playing through one of the digital inputs. And its Android-based touchscreen control puts it in a small but growing category of streamers for the modern age. I love the graphical user interface and hope we'll see it become more common. It's also a 4K video streamer, and while it's particularly suited for music video, you can also get really sweet 2-channel sound for movies and other video you feed it through the RS151's SSD or USB storage. If the video features are important to you, the RS151 is in a bit of a class of its own. I really loved having this set up for a couple of weeks in my home, and I'll miss it when it's gone. If you want to learn more about the HiFi Rose RS151 or any of the other models I've mentioned, get in touch with us here at Crutchfield.